Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Finding Freedom here on Lines of Liberty. And today I will be speaking with Sheriff Mack. We'll be discussing how local law enforcement can serve as bulwarks against government overreach. Let's get to it.
We are born free, and we will die free. The time in between, though, that's complicated. In that time, governments, institutions, and our egos will limit our ability to find true freedom in this life. These are real stories of real people overcoming the odds, persevering in justice, and unlocking their potential. Welcome to Finding Freedom. Here's your host, John Odermatt.
Hey, everybody. Great to have you back here today on Finding Freedom. We're streaming live on a Monday afternoon here on the East Coast. Of course, streaming as usual on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter. So please, follow along. Give us some comments if you'd like and you have time to watch today. If you can't, that's fine. You can catch the audio recording next Monday, of course, when it is released everywhere. Really excited for today's show. You know, as I was talking with my guest, Sheriff Mack, before the show, totally crazy, insane times right now. A lot to talk about. But first off, let's introduce my guest, bring him in. And that is Sheriff Richard Mack. Of course, he is the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona, the first sheriff in U.S. history to successfully sue the federal government and win the landmark Mack Printz versus the U.S. Supreme Court case on the 10th Amendment. He is the founder and president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, which trains law enforcement nationwide to uphold liberty and civil rights. He's been featured everywhere, across major media. Sheriff Mack, welcome back to Finding Freedom.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me back. And we are both right. These are such crazy times, and there has to be a solution. And I hope that we can articulate that to all your audience as the show goes on.
Yeah, we'll get to some of these different crazy events that have happened over the past weeks here. Just horrific events. There's really no other way to put it. But before we start going down that road, if there's anyone out there who is not familiar with you, I gave a brief introduction, but if you could just give a couple minutes here to inform people about yourself, what you're passionate about, and really what your mission is here.
Well, the bottom line of that is I'm very passionate about individual liberty and civil rights, and that the police and sheriffs of this country should be, their ultimate goal is to protect civil rights. And they haven't always been found on that side. And so I was a police officer right very near where Charlie Kirk was murdered. That was in Orem, Utah, and Provo is right next door, which is the county seat of Utah County. And I was a cop there for nearly 12 years. I've done everything in law enforcement imaginable, except I've never shot anybody and I never beat anybody up. I was the school resource officer. I was an undercover narcotics officer. But the purpose of law enforcement isn't just to enforce the law and write traffic tickets. The purpose of law enforcement is to protect the people. We are public servants. We're not the taskmasters. And I felt so much in law enforcement like I was a tax collector and a revenue agent writing all those tickets instead of being a true public servant. So my goal is to teach the Constitution, have every officer and sheriff understand why he takes an oath of allegiance to the Constitution and what our role is in our constitutional republic to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are the boots on the ground and the last line of defense between tyranny and the people that we work for. And that's my ultimate goal, is to provide that education to the American people and to our public servants, especially sheriffs and police.
So I think a good place to start with all of these things that have been happening, and especially with the Charlie Kirk murder,
Mhm.
um, there has been some talk of needing to put hate crime laws on the books, and I've even heard some talk about the weapon that was allegedly used, the rifle that was allegedly used. Was a vintage firearm, so not traceable. So I've heard things saying that those need to be registered now. So do you have a fear? Do you have a fear that things could kind of swing back the other way now because of this and infringe more on our personal liberty?
Well, every time there's a shooting incident, the anti-Second Amendment people, the people who hate guns and hate that we can defend ourselves, and that's really where it boils down to. Do we have a government that believes we have a right to self-defense?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't. They believe they can hire their own security teams that are all packing guns, but they don't believe that we should. And so it's just none of it makes sense. And I am fed up with politicians and public officials who refuse to obey the Constitution of the United States, more specifically, even the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights was established as a list of rules that government could never violate. It's a takeoff from the rights of Englishmen of 1650 and of the Magna Carta of 1215. English were always getting it right when it came to what rights they had. They just didn't do very well in protecting them, per the king that we rebelled against, King George III, that we fought the Revolutionary War to stop. Right now, we have those same abuses going on, and even worse today, that we fought the Revolutionary War over. So right now, that's a scary scenario that we've come full circle, and even worse, of all the abuses and oppression of government that we fought the Revolutionary War for. So it's time to get educated. It's time to wake up. And I'm going to give the solution right now. We've got to return to those basic fundamental principles, our Constitution, God, family, and country, that Charlie Kirk was advocating and that I've been advocating for the last 35 years. It's a simple answer, but it's not a simple implementation. And we've got to do it. And the American people have got to be involved in the process. As Jefferson warned us, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. We've got to be active. And he was talking to us, the American people.
Well, what are you hearing? Obviously you're very plugged in with Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, plugged in with sheriffs across the country. What are you hearing from your local sheriffs out there about? There is an escalation in violence, right? We have these extreme left-wing groups that are bringing violence to areas that normally don't see it. But what are you hearing as a response? And what do you think needs to happen in order to prevent some of these attacks?
Well, AOC immediately said, well, I told everybody. She didn't express any condolences to Mrs. Kirk or to their children or to the mother and father of Charlie Kirk. She didn't express condolences about all, or that she was even disappointed that this happened. She just says, I told you we need universal background checks. That's pretty stupid. And I would love to sit down with her, so I shouldn't call her stupid. I would love to sit down and explain to her that I sued the federal government over the Brady bill when universal background checks were implemented in this country. Some states were doing it before that. But in 1994, I sued to stop the overreach of the Brady bill, but the severability clause didn't allow us to get rid of the background checks. So the background checks have been there since 1994 and even before, like I said, for some states. I want to ask her, how have those background checks been working out for us, for our country? We've had so many different shootings lately, including the one yesterday of the church I belong to, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm very disappointed in the church's policy that even people with concealed carry permits, or even former police such as myself are not allowed to bring guns to church. I told my bishop that I'd bring a gun to church anytime I damn well pleased. And I have.
What's their reasoning for that?
They believe it's a place for worship, and everybody believes that and wants that. It's they've bought into the liberal propaganda that somehow if I don't have a gun on me, we're all safer. And that's ridiculous, because if there had been a member of the congregation with a gun yesterday, the violence would have stopped very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a great response time, but that response time is not indicative of what the average response time is nationwide. They were there within a minute and a half, and still 10 people were shot. And I'm surprised it wasn't more. You could shoot a lot of people in a couple of minutes. And thank goodness they didn't. But I've had a similar incident happen in our church out here in Arizona, where a couple of guys invaded our church and started yelling and screaming. And one was had a large backpack on, and I took action against them. And I didn't have a gun at a time. It was outside in my car. And I was hoping that while I was talking with this guy up on the stand at the podium, that my wife was going to go out and get it. But I put my arm around him and I was very nice to him, but I was trying to feel if he had a gun in the backpack. And I couldn't tell if it was a gun or not. And so we finally got him to leave, and we asked the police for extra patrol, but they could have, before the police arrived, they could have killed half the congregation, and there was 220 people in there. And this really has me concerned. The mentality of our country that believes that gun control actually makes us safer, and that is absolutely not true. And in my Supreme Court case, the first judge at the district court level said something that's very applicable here to gun violence. And he said to the attorney for the federal government, he said, "Counselor, do not try to pretend in this courtroom that your statistical analysis somehow equates to constitutionality." So all the statistics about guns, everybody can manipulate statistics.
Oh, yeah.
But the point is this: statistical analysis about gun ownership or using guns or how guns are used do not make it lawful, do not make gun control lawful, and do not equate to constitutionality. And that's what we've got to remember here. Just because somebody can manipulate statistics does not mean we should have more gun control. Far from it.
Yeah. I know I have limited time with you today, but I do want, we talked pre-show, and you said that you obviously served in Provo, right next to where this Charlie Kirk murder occurred at
my daughter
Valley.
Graduated from that school, UVU. And
your daughter graduated from there as well. So there are some weird things happening with that. And I've talked about this on a couple previous episodes, and I am hesitant because I know there's people out there who make their living off of being conspiracy theorists, right? And just stirring the pot. But certainly some things don't quite make sense here. So rather than me interjecting myself, I just want to get your thoughts on it. What do you see here that kind of raises an eyebrow with the official story, if anything at all?
I'm looking at the pictures they've presented of this suspect, and they don't really look like the suspect. There's some physical features that look similar, but that doesn't look like him. And so I told my wife, I said, that doesn't look like him. The guy had a thinner nose, and the actual suspect, Robinson, his nose was wider, and the other guy looked a little thinner. But there's other things that bother me more, and that is all the ins and outs of him changing clothes, and how he disassembled the gun, and how he got a scope on it, and then disassembled it again. And while he had the gun with him, he jumped off of the side of the building. And the barrel, if it was gone, if he disassembled it, it would have had to been in his pants, and there's no way he could have jumped down and not been injured by the barrel.
Well, the video
Uh,
I saw when he jumped down, it looked like he had it in like a towel or something, holding it assembled, not disassembled.
yeah,
But it's
yeah,
grainy.
and
It's hard to. It's.
yeah,
I mean, yeah,
you
it's
couldn't
hard to
really tell
see.
that, but the barrel would not have fit in that backpack. It would have taken quite a bit of time to disassemble that ancient weapon. And I've
Hmm.
got another one. When he bought or obtained the scope, when did he have time and when did he sight it in and make sure it was calibrated to the gun? You don't just put a scope on and then, oh, good, I got it lined up now. That isn't
Yeah.
how it works at all. And so and then the people who said they examined him and that the skin stopped the bullet and it trapped the bullet. There is nothing going through your neck here that would stop that. Not even the spinal cord. The bones in your neck, the vertebrae in your neck would not stop that bullet. But now they're saying that literally they were saying that the skin would. I'm not
Well,
buying it. I'm not buying that at all.
my thing with that, I'm a hunter, and I know a deer. It's really uneasy even talking about this, honestly, comparing a human being. We're talking about a murder of a great man, Charlie Kirk. So I feel weird talking about this, just to
No,
put that
that's all
out
right.
there.
No,
Um,
go ahead.
but I hunt with a 30-06, so I
Mhm.
understand. You know, I understand what it's capable of, and I've shot deer before, and where there's no exit wound. And the difference is that you have you know, on the ammunition, you could either have a full metal jacket or you could have a soft tip
It's
on it.
it
And
stays where, yeah, it stays
yeah,
there.
yeah,
But wouldn't you also disagree with this, that if it only hits the side of the neck and it doesn't hit any bone, that there's going to be some sort of exit wound of shrapnel or the bullet expanding and some of that would have gone out. But right going in right here and then there's nothing to exit just 2 inches beyond that. What do you say?
it's. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. A question I have, which I don't know if we'll get an answer to, is so this was this kid's grandfather's gun.
Right.
Was the grandfather hand loading the ammunition? I mean, I mean, who if that's a factor, if then we'll never know. Like it could have been, you know, not loaded properly. We don't know what the weights are. You know, I
Right.
haven't heard the grain of the, you know, the grain of the projectile.
Right.
But
Right.
who knows?
Yeah, and I've had those questions, and I'm not a hunter, but I've shot an awful lot,
Mm-hmm.
and so it. I really believe that you should email me your concerns because a group of us are putting things together, and we're going to deliver it to the Utah County Sheriff, and I know him, Mike Smith.
Okay.
We don't really get along that well, but I want to present this to people of Utah County who want him to answer all these questions.
Yeah. No, I'll be happy to email it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me your concerns. I know, Stu Peters. He's got even more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's
I'm gonna
and
talk
like
to
like
you
I
also.
do want to say, yeah, there's a lot of things in the story don't make sense. I mean, so I just always want to be careful because
I'm
there's
not
people.
drawing any
Yeah,
conclusions. I'm
yeah,
not going to
exactly.
conspiracy theories at
Yeah,
all, but because those happen every time. But the thing of it is, obviously, we've proved a lot of the conspiracy theories of JFK, and I don't want to
yeah,
wait that long to get all the answers. I think this needs to happen now.
agree. I agree with you. Um, so looking around, and we were talking pre-show about the shooting that happened in North Carolina, which is,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
not far from where my family vacations. Just a guy driving up in a boat and just
in a
opening
boat.
fire.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on with people? I mean, just on a macro level, like, or is this is like
Um,
the way I look at it? And my guest last week, Buck Johnson, you know, we were talking about this being really spiritual warfare. That's why a lot of these things don't make sense. But what are your thoughts?
Is it possible, MK Ultra? Is it possible to brainwash people into doing stuff like this? Is it the way they've been brought up? Is it that they're ciphers and alone, and they want their name in the paper? They want to go out in the bang. Is it their loneliness? Is it their anger? Is it their hate? I don't know, but every time, both the left and the right blame each other.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I shouldn't say left and right. The Republicans blame the Democrats and Democrats blame the Republicans. And I'm sick and tired of that. And I'm also sick and tired of the constant political fight between the two, where the people get lost in the middle. Charlie Kirk's death got lost in the middle, and certainly not by the Republicans who have honored him. But the Democrats have shown some things that are just thoroughly disgusting. And AOC was one of them, and Crockett was another one. And there's many of them, leaders. And I really appreciated Taylor Swift. I don't really care for her as a person, and I don't really care for her music. I appreciate that she's really talented, but I really appreciated the song she put out about Charlie Kirk and his family. That was very touching.
I didn't hear that. She came out with a song?
Yes.
I didn't hear that.
Yes, it was wonderful. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she says, I disagreed with everything, but she cried and she was sobbing about what happened to him. And we should all be sobbing about that. You know, I had people tell me, oh, we got to take out Obama. I said, are you totally crazy? No, we don't do that. We don't talk like that. And it would help nothing. So I would scold people who ever said anything like that. And it didn't happen often. I guarantee you that, but it did happen. And for anyone to think that that is some sort of solution in America, then I am not on your team. I am not with you, and you are disgusting. So I do not believe in violence. I've never shot anybody in my 20-year career. I never wanted to. There were a couple of times where I probably, according to most cops, I should have. But I told my deputy that we have good cover. Let's be very patient. And his 10-year-old son was standing next to him. I did not want to endanger the son, and I did not want the son to live with his dad being shot right in front of him. So we were very measured, and finally we talked him to put the gun down. But folks, I never beat anybody up either. And I was always high in arrests, especially DUI arrests. And I believed in talking people into jail, not beating them into jail. And that's how I am with our freedom movement. We need to stand firm, and we need to get really going on a lot of this. But if the people, just the Christians in our country, were united in voting for good, honest people, then we wouldn't need to be fighting about this all the time. We would be able to do this. And so we've got to join forces and do what the Declaration of Independence says. When any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right and the duty of the people to abolish such government. And we've got to understand that. And you've got to understand that the sheriff works for you, and he doesn't report to other bureaucrats or politicians. He reports only to you because you're his only supervisor. And I admit that might be hard to understand, but you've got to understand it. You are your sheriff's boss only.
Yeah. That's important. I mean, it really all comes down to local government. Your local community.
Taking back America one county at a time.
So let's talk about that. A couple minutes left here. CSPOA. Tell us about the mission there, just real quickly, and then what's new. What's coming out.
Well, we train the sheriffs of this country to make sure that they know that their duty is to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In other words, they're here to guarantee the protection of your civil rights for all people. There's no exemptions and no exceptions. All people, all races, all religions, and it doesn't matter who your daddy was. It matters what government knows they're supposed to be doing for you. That is our goal. That is our mission. And we hope that all of you will join us in this. We get our funding because people join us. We'll get our funding from right now. What we're planning is a huge event in Washington State because it's trying to destroy the office of sheriff in every county. They already got the sheriff appointed by other bureaucrats and politicians in King County, the largest county in the state. They stole the stewardship of the people, took it away from them, and now they appoint the sheriff there. They're suing the sheriffs who are helping with deportation. That's not up to the AG or the legislature. That's up to the sheriff and to his constituents, we the people. So we want everybody to help us with that, and we've got to do it. Folks, we're fighting the good fight here. They've attacked me. They've attacked the CSPOA. We are not racist. We are not white supremacists. Those are all lies to destroy the work we're doing. I never have been, and I never will be. And I will never advocate violence. There are things we can do peacefully and effectively to take our country back. And as I said earlier, county by county, one good sheriff and the people at a time.
Yeah, and that's all the left has is name calling and mislabeling people and just slandering, really. So it's
they're
disgusting
lying.
behavior.
And I've tried to sue some of them, and I got an apology finally from the Southern Poverty Law Center. But
really?
I tried to contact the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. They defame me all the time, and I've called them, and they won't even talk to me. I've tried to challenge all of them to public debates. Show me where I've done anything, or the CSPOA done anything that was racist or based on white supremacy. They can't, and they won't. No one accepts that invitation ever.
Yeah. And they've tried to slander Charlie Kirk too. You look at his videos; it's not there. He wasn't racist.
He was a lot more patient than I am.
Yeah, he sure was. He sure was.
One
last thing,
just what he stood for.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing before I let you go. Plugs, links, where people can find you.
We're all over the social media, but I don't do a lot with them. I have a website, and that's where I want you to go. cspoa.org. Get a copy of my books. I've written like 8 books. The best book is this book about our Supreme Court case. The only time in history sheriffs sued the federal government and won. And you need to see that miracle for yourself and pass them around to local officials. Get active, get involved, and let's get going.
Sheriff Mack, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate being with you, John.
All right. Bye now. All right. That is a wrap for today's show with Sheriff Mack. Thank you all for listening today. If you guys like this show, if you enjoy the work we're doing here at Lions of Liberty, then I want to encourage you to come and join us. We have bonus content. We have other perks and things like that. If you join our supporter group, which is called the Poliprix. Yes, we have changed from the Lions of Liberty Pride. We are now the Poliprix. We're leaning into our new show, The Politics Podcast, with tick spelled like the blood-sucking insect. So come and join us on Patreon, Locals, and let's get this Lions of Liberty train rolling on down the road. And with that being said, I've had these last 2 interviews have been great. I've got several more lined up over the next few weeks. You guys don't want to miss this. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to Lions of Liberty Network. Subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, whatever. Wherever you watch or listen, it's all appreciated. I will see you all next week. In the meantime, always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.